My next guest makes a living exploiting people. She hacks phones, she copies key fobs, and she exposes personal information, and she does it all without a trace. But it's not exactly what you might think. She's actually one of the good guys, or rather gals, I should say, known simply as Snow in the big cybersecurity circles. She's been labeled the best social engineer by IBM's X-Force Red, and she's showing the real world that she can hack it. It's my pleasure to welcome Stephanie Carruthers to the show. So, Stephanie, my first question in for you is, how did you choose this as a career?
That's a great question. It is not by any means traditional. My background's actually in sales, so I've always enjoyed working with people, figuring out what makes them tick. So I've had a little bit of that in me. I went to the world's largest hacking conference, DEF CON, one year with friends, and they wanted to go to talks, and they were very technical for me, and I found the Social Engineering Capture the Flag, which is an event where people are live on stage making phone calls to their targets and trying to get information from them. And I was very fascinated with it. And I went back and competed 3 years in a row, and I won on my third year. So that was really my entryway into this field. Yes.
Wow, that is something else. Because, I'll tell you, DEF CON, as you well know, maybe our viewers and our listeners don't, but DEF CON is like where the brightest of the brightest, the hackers, they go there. And one year I went, and you walked through like the main entry, and maybe you were there this year when you walked through, and then all of a sudden all your text messages were just shown on the screen, and it's like,
yes.
It's like, wait a minute, I just walked into the hallway and my text messages are shown. And they also had those the power charging stations where people were using to charge up their laptops and gadgets.
Right.
And of course, I mean, as soon as you were charging up, everything that you had on there was just simply downloaded and free for the taking.
It's terrifying. One of my favorite areas of DEF CON is actually the lock-picking village. And it was one of my first stops when I went to my first DEF CON. And I remember going in and not knowing anything about lock-picking, and someone saying, "Hey, have you picked a lock before?" I'm thinking, why would I want to pick a lock?
Not something I do every weekend.
They sat me down. Right. They sat me down, taught me. And the second you pick your first lock, your wheels start turning, and you think of everything in your house that you are protected by locks. And it's kind of terrifying.
Okay, so tell me what you do recently in New York City.
Yes, so I am on the IBM Security's X-Force Red team. So I work with a group of brilliant hackers, and our mission is hacking anything to secure everything. And what I mean by that is we go in to our clients and we break into their network, their buildings, their IoT devices, you name it, we'll break into it. But we do that with the goal of finding their security flaws before the bad guys do, so they can fix it.
So what happened with this financial building? I heard a crazy story that you guys broke into it and you had access to all these crazy files.
Yes. So one of our recent clients was a financial building in New York City, and the goal was to get on site through all of their physical security controls to see if we could have access to sensitive data. And I was able to get through multiple controls, so turnstiles, security guards, and I made it to their floor. It was a multi-tenant level floor, and I made it to their exact floor, and I made a duplicate of their employee badge. So I found a badge online, made my own copy, my face, my name, and the problem was it didn't work yet. So I have a copy, but it doesn't work. And someone went into the door, they badged in, and I followed behind them. And they turned around and looked at me and said, "Oh, do you have a badge?" And I showed them my copy, and "Oh, okay, you have your own copy." And they let me follow in behind them.
Wow, that is crazy. I mean, how simple it is to actually break into something like that by, as you said, using social engineering. And, I mean, you're a beautiful woman. You don't look like, people picture the hacker, always with the guy with the hoodie, punched over, and here you are just walking right in like it's another day for work. So I understand that you are going to try to hack into me?
Yeah, so I have some examples of things that I do when I'm social engineering. And what social engineering is, it's really modern day con artistry. So that's my area of specialty. So a lot of phishing or voice phishing, which I call vishing, are the two areas where I focus a lot of my attention. So I actually have an example email of a fish that I'm going to be sending to you right now. So, in this day and age, a lot of people have a lot of their lives on social media. And the more I'm able to spend going out and doing my homework or my reconnaissance, as I call it, to really understand what makes my targets tick, I'm able to craft a really realistic campaign, whether it's through email or phone call or even on site. So, when I created this email to you specifically, I came at it from a classic car point of view. That's something I noticed on your social media accounts you were interested in.
So I have an email from Jim Stafford,
Right.
and it's from Jim at phoenixclassiccarshow.com, which, quite frankly, that would get my attention. And it said guest of honor, invitation, so it's an exclusive thing. And it reads, "Hello, Kim, we'd be honored to have you as a guest of honor at our 10th annual Phoenix Classic Car Show." And everything's all spelled correctly. Looks legit. Being a guest of honor includes the opening speech, recognition of your love. Additionally, if you'd like to bring, we'd love to help you accommodate that. We put together more information on the event. There's a PDF attached. There's a website, phoenixclassiccarshow.com, which actually goes to you, which is interesting. And please let me know by September 16th. So there's a sense of urgency that you need to make sure that you act. This totally looks like a legitimate email. It has all the elements of something that I'm interested in, addressing me by my name. It's not mentioning a Nigerian prince, and it has a PDF attached that obviously got through the servers.
Exactly. So these are a lot of the tactics that I use today as a social engineer. The more I'm able to craft something very specific to my target, the more likely I am able to succeed, as in they either click the link or open the attachment. As you mentioned, clicking the link does go to a website that is IBM's, and I just redirected that. But a lot of times, if this was a legitimate campaign, what I would do is collect information once you click. So I would know what type of operating system you use, what type of browser you use. That's information as an attacker. I would know how to craft my malware in the future specific to your environment. Another thing I like to do with domains like this is have some type of a portal, whether it collects username and passwords, your address, phone number, something that I'm going after. So once you click it, I might ask for your information. The second you fill it out, I then have access to that information.
So now the PDF,
Yes.
I opened it, there's nothing in it.
Right. So this is just an example. I didn't want to hack you today.
Thank you for that, by the way. It's always good etiquette when you're a guest on somebody's show that you don't hack the host. It's something very important.
So if this was a malicious PDF, there's a number of things I could do. So if you were to open it, download it, I, as an attacker, could have access to your computer. I would be able to see your files, your documents, your pictures, maybe watch what you're doing. Are you logging into your bank account? Even do things like turn on your webcam. If you were on a work computer, it could also possibly give me access to further my hacking into your employer.
Social engineering is the way that hackers are now moving, and I'm so glad that you're demonstrating that, because with all this information that's available about people online, like you said, socially, I mean, you can really figure out somebody's hot buttons and what their interests and likes are just by 5 minutes just going throughout the web.
Yep, absolutely. So phishing is a very big way to hack an organization or an individual. Another way is through the phone, and I actually have a demonstration of that now. So do you have your cell phone handy?
I do.
Okay,
Stephanie, I'm worried to pick it up. Okay, it says it's from my husband on his cell phone. Do you want me to answer it?
Right. Sure, yep.
Hello?
And this is Stephanie.
Stephanie, don't do that again.
So this is a tactic that I use all the time when I'm doing vishing, voice phishing. And I make my phone number appear to be any phone number I want. Now, I wouldn't call you pretending to be your husband. Obviously, that's not going to work. That was just for a demonstration. But if I was calling a target, I would pretend to be someone from the IT department or the human resources department. Some pretexts that I have used in the past have been calling up from the IT department and saying, hey, we just sent out this patch. It looks like it didn't work on your computer. I just need to kind of go in and figure out what's going wrong. We really need to make sure everyone's systems are patched so they're not vulnerable. So I just need access to your computer. I just sent you a file, if you could open it, or a link, or if you could go to this website. By using caller ID spoofing, it builds such a trust right away that a lot of people don't question it.
Well, sure, because I mean, if it says it's your husband, or if it's the IT or HR department, or if it's your boss, right?
Yep, absolutely.
Then of course, you're going to be like, oh, why is the CEO calling me? I've never spoken to him, but he's my boss's boss's boss, so it must be really important. One question for you: how readily available are these tools? I mean, you don't have to be in the deep dark web to use these tools, I'm aware. I mean, are they just out there free for the taking?
Absolutely. Anyone can use them, and that's the scary part.
So you don't need to be a whole computer nerd scientist,
Not
rocket
at all.
scientist.
You could get them. You could get phone apps, web, on the web apps. It's very easy to get a hold of these types of tools.
So what's your big takeaway? What's your big advice for folks, other than to be smart and to use common sense and to always be aware of what you're doing?
Absolutely. So I think one of the biggest things is to slow down and really be suspicious. It's okay to question things, especially if we have an email that has a lot of urgency. That should be a red flag, but instead people want to act fast. So really slow down, evaluate it. Who's sending me this email? Is there a way that I can verify it some other way? Just taking the time. Something else is enabling two-factor authentication on any account possible, whether it's social media, your banking accounts, any work accounts, emails. This really adds that extra layer of security. Also using a password manager. This lets you have long, complex, unique passwords that you don't have to memorize. A lot of times if we look at data breaches, the attackers can have access to your usernames and passwords. And if you're using that same password across multiple sites, the attacker then has the keys to all of these sites for you. And if you use a password manager, it lets you store unique passwords for every site that you don't have to memorize. It's really great aid to help you. And then my last piece of advice is to actually lie, and it's really lying on security questions. So if you're enrolling into a new site and it asks you for your mother's maiden name or the street you grew up on, you don't have to tell the truth, because a lot of times attackers can find this information on your social media accounts or even social engineer it out of you. So if you lie, this really prevents attackers from trying to reset your passwords.
Well, from this demonstration, I can see that title that you carry around, what is it, Chief People Hacker?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
That's really awesome. It really is. Thank you so much for joining us. I think everybody's going to learn so much from the minutes that we've spent together, that, you do have to be careful and you do have to know what's going on. And, I love Stephanie's advice to slow down. So thank you so much for hacking me, I guess you'd say, Stephanie, because knowledge is power. And that's why it's super important to stay up to date on the latest security alerts, scams, and data breaches, so you know how to protect yourself. And we've got your back 24/7 over at Komando.com. Get our free breaking news security alerts. Just sign up at the website, Komando.com/subscribe. Hey, thanks for watching. Now, a few things. Don't forget to click the like button and also subscribe to our YouTube channel. And for more digital know-how, check out all these other great links.